Hey Rebels, this is Charlie, your host of the Salon Rebel Podcast. I have a guest on today who is a bit impromptu. Yesterday we were talking and I just decided, you know what, I don't really want to do a solo today. Can you jump on and let's just talk shit, which is what we're going to do. Now he is actually the producer of the podcast. His name is Luca and he works at BrightTsar Studios.
Yeah, BrightTsar Studios. Yeah.
I always get it wrong. And we have recently just changed locations from my warehouse where we were recording our own podcast and decided that I wanted to level that up and start working with somebody else that can actually produce it for us, get us better content, and just make my life a little easier. And so here we are. And Luca was asking me some questions yesterday, and that's why we kind of were on a good banter, and we thought, let's just talk shop a bit, because I think sometimes there's always a lot more similarity between creative industries than we think there is in terms of building brands and building businesses. And yeah, so here we are. Thank you, Luca, for doing this with me today.
No, it's good.
Tell me a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, so I've been creative all my life, as we find that most people are in our fields. I delved into film and media as my background 3-4 years ago. I wanted to be a cop for a really long time, and then made a really hard right turn and went into film and media, went to university. That was pretty useless, and so I just went out into the field with music videos and films and stuff, and eventually made my way here to working at BrightTsar, working with clients and podcasts and everything. And that was really my calling for a while, because in the film field and stuff, everything's very busy and very all the time, but turns out the just in every day working with clients is really just what I was wanting to do. And I just have who doesn't have a side business and everything? I'm the top blood manufacturer in Perth as a side gig, which is always a strange icebreaker to hit customers with.
You're what?
I'm the top fake blood maker in Perth. I manufacture hundreds of liters of fake blood that I sell to people overseas.
That is okay.
That was something I got into because I noticed there was a hole in the market for affordable and safe fake blood. For all the films that we were making, it was either really poor quality or off color, or it was toxic. And so I made it so that I imagine it's a lot of the same with hair manufacturing products and stuff. You're always testing, you're always figuring out what's the best for people's hair and skin and eyes and stuff, so that you're not essentially poisoning your people. And that was a big thing where I've noticed in my field, there were so many people that were using fake blood that made people's hair fall out, or stained their skin for weeks on end, or was just super bad for you or bad for the environment or everything. Mine's non-toxic, non-staining. It's fine for your hair. It can go in your eyes and go in your mouth. It's not going to taste fantastic, but it's not going to kill you. And that's still what I do on the side working at this job. And that pretty much leads me up to right to now. I've only been in the industry for 3 or 4 years, but it's just been put my head down and run for it.
Okay. How old are you?
23.
Okay. That is so random. I was not expecting that. How did you, where did that start? Were you creating films that were using fake blood? Is that essentially?
So I have a feature film coming out this year at the end called Cut to Black Warland. This isn't a plug, it's not done yet. Yeah. But the first film of that, which was just a little short film, we were making it and we had a stunt in it where somebody was in a bathroom that was completely covered in blood. Every single surface, every square inch of it was covered in blood. And I was like, we need at least 15 liters of this stuff. And we were shopping around and all the store-bought stuff was super just really poor quality, and we needed somebody in there so it couldn't be staining, it couldn't be gaseous, it couldn't be a bunch of this stuff. And it's all super expensive, 750 milliliters of blood, which is less than a water bottle, is about $200 on standard market.
Oh, wow.
And that's still really poor quality. And so I went, this sucks. I'm not going to spend, $3,000 on this. So I'm going to make my own stuff. And, I think I sat in like my shed for like 3 days straight, just mixing this stuff in a freaking barrel, like I'm Walter White making meth. And I put that on my story, and people really liked that because it's a fairly intricate process, because you're working with like milliliters that affect liters of, concoctions. It feels like chemistry, but it's so much fun. And I put it, and people went, I've never seen something like this, of this quality. Like, where'd you buy it? And I went, I made it. And everybody's got their own formulas and stuff, but my stuff is very much, if I'm not the one making it, it's not going to turn out how it should.
Are you still making it yourself?
I'm not advertising it as much anymore. I'm mostly just, if somebody comes to me, I'll do it. And like I sold 7 liters last week because I had an old music video guy that I used to work with go, hey, I've got a stunt where I need somebody like blood leaking out of their eyes, and they get punched and blood's coming out of their mouth. And they're like, you're the only person that makes stuff like that. And I'm like, yeah, I got you. Like, pick it up tonight. And because I always keep an emergency like couple of liters in my shed in case somebody last minute goes, I need someone. I'm like, yeah, come get it. Wow. And that's good. It's good because I don't need to work for that kind of profit anymore. And so if somebody's just needing because I used to only sell it at like 2 liters at a time, but now if somebody's just like, I just need a small amount, it's like, just buy me a 6-pack of beer and then we'll be all good. But
love that.
It was just something I stumbled into and have not stopped because I'm psychotic.
That's so random. I love that. I love that you just threw that spanner in there. I was not expecting that at all.
I forgot that I never mentioned it, and I was like, oh, I don't know how she's going to react to this.
That's good. I like that. I like that it's your bloody little secret.
Yeah.
I'm watching the newest season of Dexter, which I'm obsessed with Dexter.
Yes.
Like, I love Dexter. If my husband hates it because I constantly have to tell him every 5 minutes how in love I am with Dexter. And he's just like, yes, you keep telling me. And I'm like, I just think he's just the best character because he's so just his no personality is it's just the best.
Michael C. Hall is generational talent. He's so good in that role. Have you ever watched 6 Feet Under?
No, I don't think so.
Go back and watch that show. I won't say anything because it'll spoil it, but it's same character, same idea, just a really fantastic show as well. Yeah. But my entire family is obsessed with Dexter. I've not caught up since like season 5 after Trinity, but it's just because it tanked. But
so this season's really good.
What's it called? Is it First Blood? Are you talking about the prequel, or are we talking about the new season of when he pisses off to the Snowlands?
No, I'm talking about the one where his son starts.
He starts going at it. Yeah.
Is that the latest one?
I think so, because there was New Blood, and then there was like a sequel to that.
So it's after like they think this one he starts and he's supposed to die in the last one. Now he's alive. Anyways, but yeah, I'm loving it, and because I kind of tailored off last time because it started getting like old news, but now it's now it's cool again because his son is becoming like him.
Become a huge community online as well recently because Dokes from the first season, the cop, was a really big meme like 10 years ago, and he's resurfaced recently, and so everybody's going back to watch Dexter, and so it's interesting watching trends in media with how memes and community back onto these things.
This episode is sponsored by the Biztool Boutique because running a salon is hard enough. Your salon should give you freedom, profit, and a team that make you proud to be a salon owner. That's exactly why I created the Biztool Boutique. Simple, done-for-you systems you can download and implement straight away. Not another long-winded course that you'll never finish. Just the exact tools I use today in my own highly profitable salon. From pricing and profit share frameworks that lock in growth to team management tools that give you back your time and retail mindsets that finally stick, every program is designed to fit into your busy life and actually work. Because let's be real, salon owners don't need more on their to-do list. What you need are fast, proven systems that free you up, better cash flow, and more consistency. So you and your team can finally enjoy the business that you've all worked so hard for. Head to the link in the show notes to check out the tools that we've built just for salon owners.
I don't engage a terrible amount with other people that make blood. It's always interesting when you come across somebody in the field, but what usually ends up happening is they go, oh, check out this fake blood. And I'm like, yeah, check out this. And I completely one-up them by mistake. And so I'm just more of a passive observer of other people's stuff, because I always think it's really cool when people get into because everybody makes it different. It's more just a little sub-community in film media.
I would love to know, just sitting there thinking, if somebody wanted to start a podcast, there's a lot of people in our industry that are probably hesitant on starting a podcast, not sure where to start. What advice do you give to people when they want to start their own brands? Do you think that it's a really important thing that people are doing as business owners now with podcasting?
Yeah. So with podcasting, there's way more to it than you think it is. Not in terms of making it, but the background and the type of people that make podcasts as well. If you look at content online, it's for the last 5, 6, 7 years, it's been in a very big state of hyper fast editing. Everything's trying to grab your attention with hooks and threads and layups and everything. But I have a theory that people don't actually like that. Everything feels like an advertisement, even when it isn't. Even with the content that we make in the house, it's always designed to get clicks and get you on their page and stuff. And so even if it's not an advertisement, it's still an ad for your brand. And it works, but I don't think people like it that much.
It's funny you say that, because we just did Talking Heads the other day. And so what Talking Heads are, basically, they came into Salon. We made 10 videos really fast. It was really great because it only took us 2 hours. They were done. I was super stoked. But when I got them back, all the videos were they were better than I had thought that they were going to be. They were amazing. But when I'm looking at the content, I'm like, I'm just so sick of seeing this kind of like content myself. It's not authentic and natural. I'm like pushing my opinions on people in a way that just, I'm sick of seeing it. And so it had this big like shift for me of what I want to be putting out there as content. Like I find it feels so much better to just be having like a natural conversation.
Yeah.
Or recording things more in the moment and being able to clip that than these staged videos, because everybody's trying to get off their phones and off screens. And where podcasts, you can listen to it while you're in the kitchen. You feel like you're kind of like doing something good for yourself sometimes. You know, you're listening to something, you're listening to the let them theory and being like, I'm letting go of shit, or I'm listening stuff for work. Whereas when you are watching content like that with the hooks, nobody watches that and goes like, I'm just so glad that I just spent like 30 minutes scrolling on my phone and I feel so educated now. I just feel like overwhelmed. My brain feels fried. I don't know what I just did. I feel like my kid's just been asking me for a fucking sandwich for like 40 minutes and they're Mom, pay attention to me. Like it's literally like my kids draw a picture. My daughter draws a picture with Mom with a phone in her hand, and that hurts.
Yeah, it does.
And it's like, but if I have the ear pods in, I mean, they don't really see them, right?
Yeah. Kids are smart. They're not that smart, but.
Yeah, no, but it's, I do think that we're trying to move away from like being on our screens so much.
As if we're getting really technical, it's a cultural shift away from what works. And if the type of content that you're speaking about, the scrollable content that we always try to make, if you're talking about that, there's a reason why people do it, because it works. And unfortunately, it works because people don't like it, even though they consume it. It's the equivalent of McDonald's. Yeah. It's quick, fast, easy content that people consume because they feel that they have to, or it's a quick thing when I'm on the toilet, in the same way that McDonald's is a quick thing on the way home from work. Yeah. And this isn't backed up by any studies or theories, even though I can probably find them, but podcasts are a passive way to consume things. Reels are an active way to consume things. You have to be scrolling. You have to be looking at it. When I work, I put music or podcasts or like long form videos on in the background. I can't put reels on in the background because I have to be scrolling, right? Yeah. And so the same thing applies where podcasts, for me, I have my entertainment podcast. That's the one that I listen to when I'm on the train, or reading or working or cooking or something like that, where it's going on in the background and I'm enjoying it, but I'm not, I can afford to miss some of it. But then I have my like active listening podcast where I'm driving to work or I'm actually sitting down and listening to this because I'm like, I need to be actively consuming this because it makes me smarter. So I think.
Yes.
But when clients go, why should I do a podcast? Why should I do my business? It's because people consume short form content, but people will like you better if you do podcasts. It's a way to get your face out there, people to get familiar with you, because it's like you plan out all these podcasts and stuff. How many times do you finish a podcast and you go, man, I didn't fucking answer any of those questions, but we still made a good episode. It's like no plan survives first contact, and podcasts are 90% true for that. You could make this plan until the cows come home, but you're just going to be talking with the person, and that's just going to show off who you are and what your brand is and what you're like, and that's what people are going to connect with. They're not going to connect with the same real type that they've seen 1,000 times. And it might work. It might get people in your door, and that might be – it's really good to pair those with podcasts. That's why we do Reels and podcasts, so that you get best of both worlds. But podcasts are the way to get into somebody's life, if you know what I mean, to become a part of their day. Yeah. And that just doesn't extend to podcasts. It extends to like long form videos and TV shows and movies and stuff like that. That's the stuff that's going to stick around with people for years, and that's how they get familiar with you. Right. And that's because they're listening for you so long and they feel like they know you. Reels come and go dime a dozen.
Yeah, it's like it's pretty hard not to be authentic in a podcast.
It's extremely difficult.
That's it. That would be a pretty big skill to not show who you are. And it's exactly that. So I never get people message me and DM me and go, oh, I saw that reel that you made. That was really amazing. It really inspired me. Yeah. No, it's I listened to your podcast the other day and I wanted to reach out. Yeah. It's totally different. It's like we look at reels as, they're scripted, staged. And then there's bits of podcasts that are, you're seeing those glimpses of people in that. But I definitely say, like, I love podcasting because it feels like the most authentic way to create content.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I've seen hundreds, thousands of podcasts working here. And the ones that always stick out to me is never with some agenda beyond who they actually are. That's not to say that podcasts that have an agenda, like we get therapists and business gurus and money makers through, and that's all good. That's your business and that's what you need to sell. And podcasting is a really great way for education and for enticement. But in terms of your face and people getting familiar with you, podcasting is second to none beyond like making a full-ass movie. But I think there's an interesting point to make with podcasts where you say it's hard to be inauthentic with a podcast, of course, because good luck trying to do that for an hour. But it's the same thing with reels, when you could have 1,000 really planned out reels and they make you money, and that's great. And they get you business. But the thing that everybody's going to comment on and send back to you and say, this is great, is just the weird stuff that you do from day to day. Yeah. Because if they see 1,000 of the same thing, that's good. They make money. It's fantastic. But you've probably found that the strange video that you took at 3 a.m. where you're just yapping is the one that everybody resonates with. And I have the same thing with some of my films. I'll spend hundreds and thousands of hours working on them, but the one that I made in 2 days over my weekend is the one that everybody really loves and sends back to me and gets all the views. And I'm just like, I don't care about this. Go watch the other one that I spent all my time on. But both of them are good to have. You need that blend of both.
We did a post because we're moving out of that warehouse, and I literally just posted a bunch of shit that I needed to get rid of that was like for sale. Yeah. And we had put stuff on before on Marketplace. Didn't do well at all. I made this post in probably like 5 minutes, and within an hour, everything was sold. Yeah. And I was just like,
are you shitting me?
Wow, is this what I need to do? Just like, I'm like, change paths altogether. I'm just going to start buying shit and selling it and posting it on carousels on my Instagram. Like, you could totally do that. I'm sure people do. If you need a quick way to make a buck, just grab some shit off Marketplace and be putting up carousels for free.
I mean, I think probably the most interesting point of media consumption in particular, and this could be for anything in life is everybody will tell you that it's not going to work, and it probably won't, but people don't know what they like until they get it. And so that's what we're always trying to do it at here, is just go, what do we think the next step of media is going to be? What are we doing next? And how can we evolve what we're already doing rather than trends chasing? How do we make the trends in the future?
Yeah.
Because, and I firmly believe long form content like podcasts are going to be the things that stick around, not reels, because it's going to be, if you're being bombarded by everybody, you want the one person that you really stick with. And it's like hairdressing. You mentioned yesterday that you have people coming through that will only work with like one hairdresser, and then will like leave the company to, as in like leave your business to go where that other person is doing hairdressing. And it's the same thing. I've had podcasters that have quit, and I'm like, I guess I just don't listen to podcasts now because I can't, they're not doing it. I don't want to do it anymore. And I imagine that feels the same thing in your industry, where it's like, Doug isn't posting anymore. I can't listen. What podcast am I going to listen to? I don't like change. People don't like change.
Yeah. It's the same with, I think, with clients and their hairdressers or anything like that in creative, that you build a connection with somebody. And it's not so much about the service anymore. It's about the connection that you build with that person, whether or not you know that person that's doing the podcast or not. Yeah. You still feel like you know that person.
Yeah. Well, between the service and the person, what do you feel like the split is on what's important?
Average is probably 50-50. You definitely still have clients that are just all about the results, but it's very rare. I would say that more people would stick with their hairdressers if they had a good relationship, even if their hair is not that great. Like the amount of people when we get a new client in and they're like, they've been seeing their hairdresser for 10 plus years and it's not even that great, but they feel really bad to go somewhere else because they've become really close with that hairdresser. It's just like a regular thing. They see them every 6 to 8 weeks. Yeah. And so moving is like a big deal. And it's like they're not even getting what they want. That hairdresser might not even be asking them what they want anymore. They just do the same thing. And it really is about building that like rapport and the service that you provide more than the result, I believe. Because a lot of people can do decent hair. I mean, a lot of people can do bad hair too, but like a lot of people can do decent hair. And so what sets you apart is going to be the service. There's lots of good salons around there now, everywhere. We have stepped it up massively in the last 10 years, I think due to social media, because I mean, it's like, okay, take podcasting and speaking, for example. First podcast I ever did, I said fuck 45 times. I counted it in Riverside because I was like, I didn't realize, I knew I swore a lot, but that was like a massive eye opener to me. But with hair, we started taking pictures of it. So we started filming the hair after. And so we got a lot better at doing hair because we now had to like take pictures after, and you would see things that you wouldn't normally see, or you would be blow drying someone's hair and it wasn't 100% right, but it's like in the back or like a little piece, and you'd be like, it'll be fine. Like that piece wasn't toned quite right or whatever, like no big deal. But now we take photos, clients go home and take photos. And so we are looking at things with this microscopic lens now and forced to get better, which has been great, but also a whole other can of worms of the expectations that clients have expected. But once you get better at the hair, and now it's like, okay, now everybody's better at hair. Now the only thing you've got left is your, service and the experience and your personality. And there's so much that comes into play with customer service.
Well, yeah, I mean, we have the same thing. Even here or out in the field and whatever, 90% of the time, clients come to us and they haven't touched a camera ever. And we make something and they're like, it's fantastic. And I'm over here going, that shadow in the right corner is not perfect.
Right.
And most of the time we mention it to the client if it impacts the end product. But if it's just picky on our end, we have some clients that just go, oh, it's not a big deal. I'm like, it's a big deal to me. We're always trying to make things better. Do you have that where the client is always going to be happy with the service that you give them, but you're still trying to make it better? Like you're still trying to push the envelope even though the client doesn't request it.
Yeah, I think we're all, most good hairdressers tend to be perfectionists with their work. Like there's not that many times where I would execute anything and think that was 100% perfect.
Yeah.
You know, you want it to be better. There's always something that you could get better at for sure. And I think everybody always has like weaknesses in our industry. So right now we have a huge problem with like most hairdressers don't know how to cut hair. So
Why is that?
Isn't that fucked?
Isn't that like
They're
the first place you start with?
Isn't that like half of the job?
Wouldn't cutting hair be the starting point of learning?
So they learn both cutting and coloring in their apprenticeships. But what's happened is because we have this huge trend of long hair, everybody has like balayage, lived in color, everything's gotten more natural. It's not that they can't cut hair at all, but they can't execute like harder, shorter haircuts. So when I interview somebody, I would say 95% of the time, they'll be like, oh yeah, like I'm, a super confident hairdresser. I can do, all the color work, blah, blah, blah. And I said, well, how's your cutting? They're like, oh, I can't really cut short hair. I'm okay with longer hair and trims. I was like, so you're not like an all-rounder. Like you can do half the fucking job. Like it's not, but the thing is clients aren't asking for those things very much, right? So
yeah. So do you see that as an issue where they're not learning it or they're not retraining their skills every day because clients aren't asking for it?
Yes. Yeah. So they don't have the opportunity as much to actually do that work.
So they may have been qualified once upon a time, but they're not anymore because they don't train.
And the requirements to be qualified is like when you're doing those assessments, you have to do a handful of those haircuts and they're okay at best. They're not amazing. And the only way that you get more amazing at that work is to do it over and over and over again. And this is why we've gotten so good at color and whatever you're going to be doing over and over again, right? It's always that, whatever you're going to be practicing. And because they don't do that enough, and then because they get a little bit shy away from it, and then somebody with shorter hair comes in and they go like, oh, Charlie's an old hairdresser. She knows how to cut short hair, like, can you please help me with this haircut? And then somebody will step in and help them rather than them actually doing it and trying, because they lose their confidence after so long. And you'll have hairdressers that say, I want to get better at this, but then they also don't take the opportunity to get better at it anyways. And then they go to the next salon and it's been even more years now since they've worked on it.
And then it's just a slippery slope.
Yeah, and now they don't do it. Yeah.
Is cutting hair the center point for which all other skills branch out of? Or is it so separate from the rest of your skills that like people can afford to not be good at that?
I think we've definitely gotten away with not being that good at it. I mean, we can do stuff like, say, like my hair, like trimming long hair, things like that. That's easier than shorter precision haircuts, right? So people have been able to get away with it because of the trends of hair color being a huge revenue source for salons that we definitely have been able to get away with it. But there's definitely people out there that like specialize and they do lots of cutting. So it just depends. Like if the trends change and everybody all of a sudden wants to have short hair, then we're all going to have to just learn again. But it is a little bit unfortunate because it's like that should be part of your skill set. But there's salons out there where you either become like a colorist or a cutter as well. So you only do one or the other.
Really, they train one or the other.
Yeah.
That's weird.
Yeah.
That feels weird. I don't know why. Is that standard or is that like...
My personal opinion on it is that it's strategic from a business point of view. So I mean, some people just want to specialize. They just want people to be able to specialize in cutting or in color, right? So you'll see somebody that does a lot of haircuts and then they're amazing at it because they just do it so much. That makes sense. But when you have that as a business, say you have a business like mine where we cut and color, and if I had that split up and this person did the color and this person always did the cut, that client now sees two people in your business. And if one of those people left and one of them stayed, there's still somebody in your business that they're used to seeing.
Yeah, because you mentioned that before. Yeah.
I do believe that it is whether people want to admit it or not, is a strategy to keep clients in a salon.
Do you feel like that impacts quality, stretching across two people and therefore making both of those people worse at the other side of the job that they're not getting experience in?
No, because I feel like that person just becomes a specialist in that thing. But then if they go to another salon and then they haven't done that skill set and they want to change, then, if you just hands down didn't like color work and you just wanted to cut and you were fabulous at it, you could make an excellent career at just doing that, or vice versa. It just depends on, what business you want to be working at, what kind of hairdresser you want to be. So I think it could, I think the problem is when people just let their skills slide and don't, if you're only going to color, you better get damn good at it.
Yeah. You're going to be the best.
Yeah. And then you can afford to not do that other bit. But it's hard. Like then you're always going to need another person to do the other half of the job.
In this business, I'm an all-rounder, and I've trained to be an all-rounder by my mentor, because in my field you have directors, producers, cameras, audio, set design, costume, makeup, everything. And it's like each of those person is very likely to be very good at their individual area. Mm-hmm. Not a lot of people are very good at most things, whereas I've trained to be pretty good at most things, so I can run an entire set and set up by myself. Doesn't mean that I'm going to be the best in any of those areas, but it means I can run the show by myself if need be, and that's what is really good for this business. But I was going to say, when transitioning clients in and out of businesses, they've been to a hairdresser for the last 20 years, the hairdresser has left the country, and they walk into the random salon and they're kind of just like, I don't really know, I just want my hair cut. How do you make that transition period smooth for them, where they, like you said, it's become a regular occurrence for them with that person, and now they've got to try to trust your business to cut their delicate hair, which the only person that they trust is their barber, Yeah. So it's like, what's that transitionary process like for you?
It's really about that consultation phase, right? And building that rapport before you start any sort of service, making sure that you are getting enough information. Sometimes it can be really hard with clients because they will have just sat down in someone else's chair for 20 years and said nothing to their hairdresser because they knew them so well. And sometimes it can be really hard to get like information out of somebody for a consultation. And they're like, just do whatever. And you're like, but I need something here, because you don't really want whatever. Like, are you okay if I cut a cute little like bob on you? Because you're probably not. And so it's really trying to build that relationship and that rapport with that client. But sometimes having the conversation of like, look, like we're going to have a more in-depth consultation today. That might not be the case every single time. Like once we get to know you a little bit better, it gets a little easier. Our consultation phase doesn't have to be as long for a regular client than it is for our new clients. We still want to do all the touch points, but, I just want to get to know you, make sure that I do the right thing. We often tell clients that it's probably not the first appointment that we're going to absolutely nail something, especially for making changes. But it's like, as, in the next 2-3 appointments, as we get to know the customer, know what they like, make any adjustments. Often some people will come in for a first-time appointment and then they'll come back to get something redone, right? Yeah. Because it wasn't 100%.
You didn't get it right on the first try.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard to.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, we have a very similar thing here. A lot of the time, as mentioned with yourself, people start off podcasts in their garage or in their bedroom or in a warehouse, and they come out and they say, "Oh, we trust you to do a good job." It's the worst thing somebody can say, because they've been doing it already and they know what they like. We don't know what they like. And so a lot of the time what we just try to do is look at their previous podcasts and see how we can level that up. Make it what they're used to, just better. Because if we try to reinvent the wheel with them, it's never going to go well. And sometimes it goes really well, but then other times it's like, maybe not. And it is pulling that information out of them without, I can ask them, oh, what do you like? What are your references? What are your what color do you want to be? And they'll just be like, I don't really care. And I'm like, I know that you care. You're just not telling me. So how do I get that out of you? And it's equally as interesting when they've either never done it before or they've been shopping around at other podcast studios, because that's where we're going. Okay, they've either left somewhere else or they've never done this before, and now we have to make them want to stay with us instead of, I'll just do this in my garage or I'll go with the previous client. And a lot of the time it is just that one-on-one customer interaction. Like that's why we have the garage door open. That's why we always have people out where everybody can see them, not tucked away in little hidey holes. Why we have a bustling environment with the business upstairs, so that when people come in, it feels like the pressure of it is being taken off, because recording something like a podcast or reels or something is quite intimidating, especially if you're not surrounded by things like this. I mean, you've got charisma leaking out of your eyeballs, but you know, the therapist that comes who's used to one-on-one client interactions in a really quiet music room is going to be head over heels in terms of like, what the hell do I do for a podcast? But if they come in and they just see people hanging out, having a good time, it's a homely environment. And that's the customer satisfaction that you want to bring across. The end product's obviously very important, but it's that moment-to-moment talks that you have with them that's going to make them want to come back.
It's super intimidating, like even like for myself to record with people that you don't know. And the same thing when people come into your business and have their hair cut where they don't know. It's a really, you feel super vulnerable.
Yeah.
And you don't really know, you don't even know sometimes what you like or what you want. And it's like when you ask me a question like, what about this? And I just think, you just make the decision, because I just don't want to make any more fucking decisions in my life, you know? But then it's the after, when you get the product back, that you're like, oh, maybe I don't like that. And that's what happens in hairdressing. Or, you know, we get no information, then we do the job, and then they're like, oh, it's quite blonde. And you're like, you literally told me to do whatever I wanted.
What I thought was going to be good.
And that's what I
am the expert in the room. Like, I know more about this stuff than you ever will, because this isn't your industry. Makes sense. You know more about hairdressing than I will. And that's great that you're putting your trust in me, but we still need a frame of reference for just even the stuff that you like to do in your life. We have people that are like, you know, people that are doing a podcast about being on a mine site. They're probably not going to want bright pink lights or like, you know, more of a upbeat mood. They're more intense, they're more direct, they're more sweary. And so it's like, cool, we'll create an environment around that. We'll tune our service to that. What we're trying to tailor our business to at the moment is telling them the first time, you're going to hate this. And it's saying the quiet part out loud, as much as I really hate that expression. It's people are going, you know, you're paying a lot of money to come here. It's an expensive path to go down. It's worth it. But you're paying that amount of money to come in and hope everything's going to be done for you perfectly the first time. 9 times out of 10, it's not going to happen. We have like 4 clients over the last couple of months where they came in, first try, done, end of story. And that felt really good, because went fantastic. But that was only because they told us everything that they wanted. They gave us breakdown sheets. They gave us reference frames. They told us their style and their branding and everything before we even started. And it was like, we have every bit of information now to make this the best product. And I imagine it's the same thing with you. Every once in a while you get somebody who's like, that was a fucking good job. And you're like, hell yeah, it feels amazing. 9 times out of 10, you do not get that information. And so, you know, I can be the best freaking camera guy in the world and I can have the best audio mixing, the best editing. You're still probably not going to like it if it isn't exactly what you had in your brain. And because film is a really hard style to articulate, if you watch a movie, you go, that looks really good. And if I ask you, why does that look really good? You're going to go, I don't know. I just know that it looks good. Or like, that movie was bad. Why was that movie bad? I don't really know. It just felt bad. It's the same thing here. You're going to go, okay, those reels, you're really good at articulating why, because you make content every day. But Joe Blow, who comes off of the street and never picked up a camera before, but his boss said to make a podcast for the channel. And he goes, oh, I don't like that podcast. And it's like, why don't you like that podcast? And he goes, I don't know. How do you workshop that? Is it the same
Yeah.
thing for hairdressing, or is it a little bit easier because people know how to talk about their own hair?
I think it's easier because we have been doing our hair, doing our hair and makeup every day or whatever for women. Whereas I feel like this is way harder because I have no idea what's going on over there. You know, I brought in that light for you guys a couple years ago, pre-kids. I bought this guy. His name's Menji, and he's a photographer he does photographer in film and stuff now. Does lots of hair shoots, films, dancers and stuff. He's incredible. Anyways, I wanted to start getting into photography so that I could shoot collections for my team if they wanted to do that. And I thought I would start to learn to do that, right? So he's like, Charlie, I've got all this stuff. I'm moving over to Sony. I've got all this stuff that I can sell you. Come pick it. And I was like, sure. So I bought all of his shit. And I never learned how to use it.
Yeah.
So I've got the camera, I've got all the gear, no idea. Now it's older. I just need it out. I'm never gonna fucking use it. Yeah. And people are like, you might use it one day. I'm like, the only thing I'm gonna use it is for a background drop to make it look like I know what I'm doing, but I don't. So let's just let somebody else that knows what they're doing. But there's just so much more to learn because it's not something that we do every day. So I would say that would be so much harder. Whereas as a hairdresser, we can learn to nail consultations way easier because we can ask questions to the clients that they can understand. Whereas when you're talking to me about what's actually going on with color or anything like that, I don't know, you know? So it's just I think it definitely would be a lot harder in this industry. And it's so new, us doing podcasts and all that. Yeah. So
with hairdressing, there's pretty much 6 things to learn, but it's super hard to perfect them? Or is it there's 1,000 things to learn that you have to perfect? Is it is there a lot more going on with hairdressing than we actually see? Or is it pretty simple, hard to master?
It's, I think the hardest thing, it depends on whether, when you're talking, color, is that it's chemistry. There's science behind it, and it's unpredictable, right? So
with lifestyle, how
the hair, it's depending on what they were using. You go to literally, you can go and foil somebody's hair, and it can start smoking out of the foil packet because of something that is there's some kind of metallic shit on the hair. It mixes with what you're using. There's shampoos that are not professional that basically you mix them with a type of lightener and you start getting really hot foils. They're literally boiling out of the foils. You can get things happen with that. And so that is the unpredictable part is what's really hard. And so I wouldn't say that you can never just stop learning with hairdressing. Yeah. So although there's the foundations about cutting and coloring, I think that trends keep changing. We keep having to change and update things that we are doing. But I do think things have gotten a lot better in the last or harder and better in the last 10 years because we are a lot fussier about how things look. Everything is more natural looking, and that's a lot harder to create a natural looking hair color than
but it leads to a better product.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's a good thing.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. So it's it's gotten more difficult, but the results are better.
Yeah. And it's sort of the opposite in film to a degree because over the last, 2025, 17 years, I mean, you probably remember using film cameras and stuff, maybe? Or seeing film cameras. 35. Well, the film camera, digital cameras only came around the late 90s and stuff.
Those film. Okay, I'm thinking
real film.
Yeah. I'm fucking old, do you think?
Well, no, but digital cameras only came around.
The disposable cameras.
Yeah, those ones and stuff. Yeah. Obviously, they've picked up in trends and stuff like that. But disposable cameras where you to go down and press the film and stuff like that. It's those were a big trend for a while. And the technology exploded very quickly over 10 years where it was always evolving. And so we have a bunch of things in my house where it's we had this camera when I was a child. This is the one when I was older teenager than the ones that I have now. And it's just they've all changed. But the ones that I have now, I've had for the last 6 years because they've hit a point where, they're technically getting better, but not really. It's it's when, iPhone releases a new phone and you go, well, my phone works fine. Why do I need that one? It's like, yeah, it's technically got a lot of bells and whistles, but like this one still works fine. Whereas 10 years ago, it goes, this iPhone makes that iPhone look like dog shit.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing in film where we've hit a point where, yeah, we're still getting better technically, but nobody's having to educate themselves further. You can always get better in what you're doing, but it's not with new sciences or new techniques. Everything is staying the same. It's just getting slightly better. So it's just you having to work your skill up by yourself rather than like learning a new technique.
That's sort of the same, like, because the science and stuff is pretty much stays the same. They have a couple new products come out, but it's really just like it's up to the creative to really advance their techniques and what they're doing. And you think about like a head of hair and a painting, finding where you're going to paint a certain color, where you're going to cut a certain place in order to make it look a certain way. Yeah. And this is where some hairdressers really get stuck because they can do the foundations of what they're taught, but I think there's some hairdressers out there, probably a lot, that aren't really that creative. So they get to this point where they've learned how to do the foundations, but unless somebody shows them exactly how to do something, they really struggle to like think outside the box and to be able to look at something and know that that's missing that or that needs a little bit of extra that. Then that's that creative person that can look at it and go, okay, that person's hair isn't sitting right. Or, you know, where someone else is like, I cut that exact shape that I needed to do. And so I think that things haven't necessarily, like, it's really up to the creative to get better.
What do you feel like in the future is going to be the one technique you look back on and go, why the fuck did we do that? Like, because you mentioned all the chemistry they have to do, and it's like this pseudoscience of like, we think this will work, but we have no idea how this is going to react with the hair. It's like, what do you think will be replaced in the future with just like, oh, it's this special ointment that we found in the tip of Mount Fuji or something that to fix all our problems?
Yeah, well, Olaplex came out, which was a huge product about 10 years ago.
What's that?
It's a bond builder that they had like a patented ingredient. It's called Olaplex. I think we were actually I think I might have been one of the first in WA. Definitely one of the first in WA, possibly one of the first few people in Australia that got it in. I was working with a lady that rented a chair off of me in my first salon. And she was just like a research guru. She was always like ahead of knowing what was coming out next. We got this product and it absolutely blew up, which is one of the reasons why my salon that was like underneath my house, it was in like a granny flat of my house, home salon, was one of the reasons why we blew up was having this product that all of a sudden everybody was looking at. We are having to get it from the US and ship it over before it was here. And then they had a bit of a ban on it for a while somebody was taking over distribution. Anyways, long story short, we all started getting this product in. The product claims to like never break a hair again. It was kind of something like that with the motto. But you can still break hair with it. So we have a lot of issues with hairdressers using this product thinking that they could then over bleach hair and you could still break hair. Anyways, everybody was using it with everything. People would be like, you'd get messages every single day to make sure that you use that product, and nobody wanted to get the hair done without this product in it. And now that trend has kind of gone down a little bit, and everybody else came out with their own plexes. Every single company tried their own bond builder, plex, whatever. That's just taken off ever since. Would I say that hair is like healthier and better since that product came out than when it was before? I wouldn't say so. But it was like a huge trending problem, and it's probably is going to stick around. But it's just things like that you're like, remember when like absolutely nobody would get their hair done without that product? Yeah. And now you guys don't even care about it?
I can't imagine.
Yeah. So there's always something.
Yeah, that's always a big discussion point in my field is because everybody's predicting the next big thing, but it's not like we're reinventing the wheel every day. The next big thing is going to be what's the next trend that gets you 500 more clicks on your website or something. Like, what's the new color that we're focusing on? The biggest thing that people are focusing on is like mass storage. Because when we send you files and stuff, you're like, oh, this is a really big file. This is hard to download. This is hard to transport. And I was talking with the director. I was going, how do you because they record terabytes and terabytes of footage that you can't send digitally. It's not like an email or a message. And I'm like, is there a secret website
Or
or
they
a
mail it?
secret? Yeah. And I was like,
Yeah.
well, how do you get this footage to editors overseas or animators
Yeah.
or stuff? And he goes, we put it in a big hard drive about the size of a chair, and then we put an intern on a plane with bodyguards and we fly him there.
Wow.
And I go, that is so archaic, and like
Yeah.
that with all this science that we have and all this technology, that's still what we have to do. And he goes, yeah, sometimes we just put it in an envelope and then just email this hard drive over that's worth like $1,000 just overseas. And he's like, there's no real easy way of doing it. And I'm like, whoever figures out
Yeah.
how to do mass storage and send it that quick is going to be the richest person on the planet. And that's what we're predicting is the next big step. And like, how do we get there? Who do we need to hire to get in front of that?
And it's actually a problem because every job and every business is just, solving a problem for somebody. And I just was like, wow, that is a problem. That's why we haven't done much YouTube, because every time we go to do something, it just gets stuck on stupid and it doesn't upload. And then you're just like, fuck this. And then, and then
it's just all these little roadblocks that are getting in the way. And 90% of the time when we hire somebody for a job, whether it's in here or out in the field or interacting with clients, we know how to do it. We just don't want to fucking do it because things won't get done if you're having to be there every step of the way, because we work with 20, 30, 40 clients at one time. And I go, I'm not going to be able to get through all these clients if I do this. I know how to do it, but we need to hire somebody else to do that. And I think that is what a lot of problems are in industries. I imagine yours probably isn't an issue, but when you're hiring people that don't know what else is happening in the workplace. Like everybody that works in this store knows how to do everything, but we still have specialists. Like I run the podcast, even though like Sev and Fraser and like JT know how to make the podcast. It's like I'm still the best at it, so that if I'm sick, they can step in and stuff like that. It's like, is hairdressing the same thing where everybody in the business knows how to do everything, even if there's specialists, or is it like there's certain people that are just like there to do their one job?
They can pretty much it's like some people don't know how to check out a client or do like that part of the admin. Usually like the junior team might not be able to put it through a payment or know how to sometimes answer the phone because they're literally afraid of answering the phone in case somebody asks a question that they don't know, It's like, and I have to force them to be like, you just put the client on hold and you go and ask somebody else. Like, it's really that easy. Now we're finding that we work with more salon owners, right? And salon owners don't have a clue about a lot of this back-end stuff. So we learned how to do our own marketing. In the last couple of years, that was our own focus, like beyond socials with, Google ads and Meta and email marketing and using things like Go High Level and just everything that we could possibly absorb to learn about how we could get better with doing our own marketing. And a lot of clients have no idea what's going on in the back end of something, like they wouldn't know what Riverside is or any of those things. And so we really opened up a lot of different avenues in the last 2 years to like get to know as many different things about marketing and for our business as we possibly could. And I think there's a lot of salon owners now that we work with, like what we were saying before, trying to onboard somebody is like trying to onboard people into becoming marketing clients is so difficult because a lot of them don't return their messages for like days. They don't know how to upload something properly. Everything takes them so long to do. And so it's not our fault that we don't get somebody's like advertising started for like 2 or 3 months. It's theirs because they just can't. They're just not prioritizing that and they are not learning how to do anything. So like they don't know how to even sometimes log on to their websites. They have no idea how to change anything.
But then they're still going to blame you.
Yeah. So we have to start trying, I think, getting a little bit fussier of like who we take on because we need things to be faster. Otherwise it ends up we're just wasting our time because it's just like this person on our to-do list that we're just constantly trying to like get them started. And you're like, okay, if you're not like that keen and this is going to take you that long, like you must not need clients that bad.
Yeah.
So anyways, Luca, thank you for the chat today.
Thank you for the chat.
Very random. From Blood, Hair, and Marketing.
Blood, Hair, and Marketing is the name of that'd be such a good podcast.
Yeah. Yes. Well, thank you for our first episode of Blood, Hair, and Marketing. I love that. It might be the new, the new name since our sign is not up yet. Maybe we'll just change that.
We'll change it on the fly.
Yeah, Blood, Hair, and Marketing, which is oozing blood. Anyways, thank you for stepping into this episode today. It was very random. I would love to hear from any of our listeners of what they thought of that rant. You were my first male guest that I've ever had on as well. So
how'd you
congratulations. It was fine. Yeah, it was fine. But interesting. Yeah, I loved the beginning of the blood thing. So anyways, thank you very much. I'm sure we'll hear from you again. I will be in here regularly. And thank you for looking after me and our podcast from, how do you say it?
BrightTsar.
BrightTsar.
TSAR, like the Russian Tsar.
Right.
Because Sev's Russian.
Right. Okay. Sev, one of the owners here, is 6'10". You can't miss him. If you ever see a 6'10" guy, it's probably the guy.
There's only a handful of them.
Oh my God. Okay, we gotta go. Bye.